What's up guys, Xeno Gaming here for the 4th episode of my F1 2018 career mode. Here today we are at the Spanish Grand Prix here at Circuit de Barcelona for the Spanish race, and we're coming off the back of a decent race at Baku, where we finished P12. Not the best race, but wasn't a bad race. So no points, but we're coming here into the Spanish Grand Prix weekend looking to score points for the second time this season. And here we have got very interesting conditions because the whole weekend will be dry, except for Sunday, the race day. It's going to be fully wet conditions. So as you can see, we have two parts here, the powertrain and the aerodynamics. That is not, the parts have failed, but we did get a chassis upgrade and plus some reliability upgrades as well. So we do get a chassis upgrade on the car here for Spain. These are two powertrain and aero updates have failed, so we're at this point I decided to actually just invest money, the resource points that we have, into the deficiency apartments, so we can hopefully when we upgrade parts in the future not have these failed issues, instead of actually deciding to fix the parts. So I've just left them for now, and I think my reasoning behind that was because, as you will see in this race, the gearbox was quite stuffed, so we are probably going to need to take a penalty for the next race at Monaco, and I'm not going to bother using these upgrades if we're going to take a penalty at Monaco, so which will probably set us back in the grid anyway. So that's a quite unfortunate situation that we found ourselves in, but yeah, it is what it is. And so yeah, just upgrading all three departments, thought it was the best move for us to make here. So that was the thought process behind those moves. But like I said before, it's going to be a wet Spanish Grand Prix, and actually here we are, see the development chart. You can see that Mercedes have raged ahead of Ferrari here in the arms race, and you can see it's quite a tight midfield pack with Force India actually leading it now, jumping ahead of the likes of Renault and Haas. And then here you can see the results from the season. You can see how Vettel's won three of the first four races, with Daniel Ricciardo winning in China. There is the championship standings. Vettel's got quite a substantial lead over the rest of the field. Now here comes the engine, looks quite worn, but we'll go to David Croft now for a weekend introduction.
Welcome to the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya for the Spanish Grand Prix. Over the next few minutes, the teams will be heading out onto this classic Formula One track for what we're expecting to be a very hectic practice session. A lot of focus is naturally on the drivers, but it's really important for the mechanics to get everything right as well, as one little mistake could cost the team and one of their drivers the race result.
These guys are so meticulous, and they train and perfect everything that they do. Without question, they feel the pressure in the same way as the drivers, and they share the responsibility to ensure that the car makes it to the end of the race.
We're going to be logging some extra data during this session. Nothing you need to worry about, but as we have some new parts, we'll just confirm they're performing to spec.
Thanks for that, Jeff. So he's talking about the new chassis update that on the weight reduction we got for this weekend. But anyway, back to my earlier point, the engine, I've decided to keep it for this weekend, and the gearbox as well. Didn't change any components because, based on the fact that we have a wet race, and I just don't think it will be as important to have a better performing engine, because I believe it just will help with the revs and the wheel spin in the wet, so it'll be better for us.
Today's qualifying session is about to start
now we
here
are
at the Circuit de
qualify.
Barcelona, Catalunya, and what a cracker of a session we're expecting it to be. This is a track that tends to ask quite a lot of the tyres, both front and rear. So is it fair to say a great deal of management will be needed in order to do well here?
Tyre wear is always something you have to consider to a certain degree. Finding a good car balance that suits the circuit will help prolong the life of the tyre, but it's true that some circuits, such as this one, are more challenging than others. How hard you can push them depends on your strategy and how tight the battle is around you.
Right, little bit of an electrical problem at the moment. We're working on it now, so don't worry. We're going to get you out there as soon as possible.
Not the most ideal start to Q1 with an electrical fault here for the Spanish Grand Prix. We'd done quite well in the practice and had no issues in practice, so that was all good. And now we are moving on to the first qualifying session. Here we are on our first lap for Q1. Coming down the main straight, you can see the effect the worn engine components are having on the top speed of the car. And here we just make a mistake in turn 1, despite the lack of engine power, and that would quite hamper this opening first lap, and we would set a 1 minute 20.2. So I would then cool down the car, and on the same set of tyres go again. So here we go for the second lap on the same tyres, same run. Didn't bother go back into the pits, just did a cool down lap and went again, and then we improved the time slightly to 1:20.1, and that's only got us in P17. So we came out and put a fresh set of super soft tyres on and went again, and this was a much better lap, much cleaner, and this third lap of the session would jump us up to P12 in the order and see us go through to Q2 safely. As you can see here, that Gasly, Van Dorn, Hartley, Sorokin and Stroll all have not made it through. Romano safely through. But now here we're moving on to the last lap of Q2, and here we have a bit of an issue with Raikkonen getting involved in a collision with Carlos Sainz, which hampered our lap, didn't do us any favours. And now as we come across the line, we will come to finish in P14, only out qualifying our teammate in Charles Leclerc. And if you hear that clunky noise, that's not anything from my audio end, it's something to do with the gearbox or the engine, something wrong. But anyway, Perez, Sainz, Magnussen, Romano and Leclerc all eliminated from Q2 session. So we will now go to the race.
Good afternoon from a very familiar setting. It's race day here in Spain, and with everything still to play for in the championship battle, there's no room for mistakes in a Grand Prix that's well known for creating them. It's 730 metres from pole position down to a slippery turn 1 here, the first of 16 corners around this 2.89 mile racetrack. The long, wide turn 3 and the uphill right-hander of turn 9 can both be taken full throttle in the right conditions, but I doubt very much we'll be seeing any of that today. Anthony Davidson is alongside me as usual for the race today. Let's talk briefly about Kimi Raikkonen. They've got that grid penalty to worry about, of course, which puts them on the back foot from the get-go.
It's unfortunate, but it happens to everyone at some point. You just have to accept your fate, knuckle down and get on with the business of making up that deficit during the Grand Prix. So they'll be pushing hard today. One to watch for sure.
Well then, after an exciting qualifying session yesterday, let's take a look at how the cars line up. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Ricciardo, Sebastian Vettel and Alonso, Hülkenberg, Raikkonen, Grosjean and Esteban Ocon, Perez, Sainz, Kevin Magnussen, the captain, Leclerc, Gasly, Stoffel Van Dorn and Brendan Hartley. Sirotkin and Lance Stroll rounds off the grid. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Okay, be wary of the cars
Thanks,
ahead
Jeff.
braking suddenly
Welcome to
into
the
one. We could ruin our race if we hit them.
Spanish
Good luck.
Grand Prix. Here today, a wet Spanish Grand Prix, which I'm not sure how that's going to play into our hands. But anyway, here we go. Start of the Spanish Grand Prix. So 5 red lights. And away we go here. Really tough start for Romano, as the wheel spin is quite difficult to handle in these conditions. Personally, I'm not the best at my race start. It's something I have to improve on in this game. Anyway, going down the inside of all the drivers and managing to get back up into that original P14 position after losing it on the run to the straight. And now we are following Magnussen and Sainz, but we run a bit wide here in turn 3, just trying to get used to the conditions. And Gasly passes Romano, but Romano would fight back not only on Gasly but also on Magnussen. We just tapped the back of Carlos Sainz there, which is lucky we didn't get any damage from that situation. As now we are following in. Thanks for that, Jeff. As we now follow the pack in these tricky conditions.
Well done, mate. Nice start.
Just really difficult to be able to see from the spray coming off the cars in front. And you just got to be very, very careful on your throttle application to not spin up the rear wheels and spin out. There's now we get a bit of a slide happening on the exit of turn 9, and now coming into turn 10, we go deep on the brakes and just have a bit more speed than the Sainz. We go down the inside, very late move, but managed to make it stick, and then here we get very eager on the throttle and on the curve, have a bit of a slide, but managed to hold off. But overall, a very good first lap, making up 2 places up to P12 now for Romano. So we now follow Esteban Ocon, and we'll be trying to get past him as we have another slide coming up. But because of the slides that we keep having, Carlos Sainz now has the opportunity to overtake us into turn 1. He's getting close and he goes to the inside, and Romano doesn't defend the position, but he brakes earlier, and Sainz runs up really a little bit wide, and Romano sees the gap and takes back on the switchback move there. So good racing between Romano and Sainz as he moves back up into P12 here. So P12 for Romano.
Brilliant. Nice move.
Here we are on the third lap, running wide coming out of turn 3. Then we have a big moment here through turn 4. Big slide, and Sainz looking down the inside now, turns to the outside for turn 5. As we managed to just hold off Carlos Sainz into turn 5 there, and really difficult conditions to deal with. As now we move on to lap 4, and Sainz is at it again.
We're leading our teammate by 1.9 seconds.
Sainz with Romano defends to the inside, defends it well, and is able to keep the position ahead of Carlos Sainz just for now. Sooner rather than later, you think Sainz is going to make the move. Now we're here on the end of lap 5, as Sainz is once again all over the back of Romano. And just see how difficult it is for Romano to get power down. Big slide over the last corner. Now Sainz has another opportunity coming into turn 1 to make the move. Romano defends to the inside, Sainz to the outside. Here we go, late braking. Sainz brakes a little bit later, but runs that little bit wide, and Romano is able to hold on to P12 for now. So we're here on the start of lap 6, and you can just see how much Romano is struggling to grip these tyres. You can see the little twitches he's having inside the cockpit. Makes it very difficult to use, but you can see here we've actually now lost 4th gear.
A mechanical issue means you've lost one of the gears. Say again, you have lost access to one of the gears.
So decide here not to shift back to 3rd, so just keep it in 5th to destroy any chance of the rear end stepping out, and it also probably helps with the traction. But Sainz is still right on our tail, and as we come here, we're just on the downshift, and just difficulty getting the rear end straight, and then big slide.
Okay, bad news on the gearbox. The team are trying everything they can think of, but they're not optimistic. Just keep at it, do your best, that's all we can ask.
Sainz manages to overtake us for P12, so Romano down to P13, which is unfortunate, but that's how it is. We still have to now, have to worry about the Haas driver and Kevin Magnussen behind us, who is now going to start pressuring us for P13. So not ideal moments here, tough times for Chris Romano as we now move on to lap 8 of Magnussen as we roll out on our tail as now we move into the start of lap number 9. You can see there's quite a gap back to Charles Leclerc, who is stuck in traffic behind the Toro Rossos and McLarens of that nature. I think not McLarens, just one McLaren, because Alonso's ahead of us and then behind it. You can see here Magnussen passing Romano into turn 1, gets the job done. Romano has a big slide through turn 2, and that's not ideal for Romano. Now we managed to stick on the tail here of Kevin Magnussen now on lap 9, and you can still see
you're pushing too hard. It's causing your gearbox to take increased wear.
You can see in the minimap though that Charles Leclerc is just constantly closing the gap. He's much quicker than me and Magnussen. Magnussen hasn't been able to pull away from us like Carlos Sainz did, so we have the opportunity to re-overtake Magnussen in turn 1, but we had a big slide out of our last corner. So now the opportunity to overtake Magnussen into turn 1 is gone, but now in the next lap we're once again right on Magnussen's tail and have the opportunity into turn 1. Rich mix and hot lap mode here, but unfortunately we have a little look in turn 1, but we're just not close enough.
We're leading our teammate by 3.7 seconds.
The Haas driver, so we're going to have to do this at a different part of the circuit. That was the immediate process I think I thought of. So Romano's going to have to do this at a different part of the track to be able to get the move done. As we come here on lap 11, conditions still just as bad as they were at the start. Really haven't changed much at this point, but here we get a much better run than Magnussen. And we go have a look down the inside.
Increase ERS deployment. It's time to use some of this charge.
Back into P12, which is quite good for him, and you can see the Leclerc is absolutely rapidly closing in. Now we move on to the next lap, and Magnussen
we've lost one of the gears. The transmission is significantly damaged. We're down a gear.
For turn number 1, and you can see as soon as you lose a gear, the pace just goes because you have to readjust everything to the car. You can see that we decided to switch down the 3rd gear, and
our gap to the car in front is 9.3 seconds.
So we're able to get back past him into turn 5. And very close there between us and Magnussen. Now that's given Leclerc the opportunity to close up. Then after that we managed to pull away from Magnussen actually, and now we're into the pit lane for a switch to the intermediate tyre. I thought that the conditions were getting a bit lighter at this stage, and I thought it was the right time to switch on to the intermediate tyre. And Jeff was saying that the rain was switching.
Exit now.
To the light rain. Very, very shortly.
Up to speed now. Let's get some heat into those tyres.
Tyre, but as you can see, we don't quite have the grip coming through turn 1 and 2 here, so it's still not quite ready for the intermediate tyres as we're struggling to turn through turn 5. Now coming on to the next lap, Leclerc and Magnussen, who stayed out the extra lap, we managed to get up just ahead of Charles, but we're behind K-Max. We've actually lost time doing the undercut because the intermediate tyre just doesn't have the same grip. So
let's use some of this energy. Increase the ERS deployment.
Levels as the rain still is not quite ready for intermediate tyres. So we run right through turn 4. We pretty much just let our teammate through because I think he's in the battle with Kevin Magnussen. He's quite a bit quicker than Kevin Magnussen as Hamilton sets the fastest lap of the race now. And that will be beaten by Max Verstappen, also setting the fastest lap of the race at 35.1, sorry. As now we have Stoffel Van Dorn, who's pitted for a new set of wet tyres on the back of us. And we make a mistake here on lap 21.
Battery charge is high. Let's increase ERS deployment to up the pace.
At this stage, this is the wrong decision that we have made to come in for the intermediate tyre. But now here we have Vettel, Bottas, Ricardo.
We'll be seeing at least 20 minutes of light rain.
And we'll show you here what has happened. So Hamilton is spun in the middle of the track, and well, Vettel's just ran straight into him. Nowhere to go. Ricardo's run straight into him, and then Kimi Räikkönen also hits him. So you can see here what has occurred. So Hamilton chasing and lapping the Williams car. The Williams car pulls to the inside here. I think it's Lance Stroll. It is Lance Stroll, and Hamilton has a bit of contact with him and spins out in these tricky conditions, and then reverses dangerously back onto the racetrack. Verstappen manages to get past, no problem, but Vettel, I guess, unsighted. Bottas, also unsighted. Ricardo, all go into Lewis Hamilton and end their races. Kimi Räikkönen manages to survive, but now here on lap 24, the intermediate tyres are coming back into play. We've closed right up to the back of Stoffel Vandoorne for P12 here, so we've moved right up to the back of him, looking to take advantage of the fresher intermediate tyres. Well, not fresher, but better suited conditioned intermediate tyres. We go down the inside into turn 9, make it. Vandoorne doesn't make it too hard for us, so managed to take that position as we have a bit of slide through turn 11 and now through turn 12. Now we move on to lap 27 here.
Okay, good work, great pass.
Quite quickly gapped Vandoorne quite a lot. Now we set the fastest lap of the race from the benefit of being on the intermediate tyre compared to everyone else being on the
good
wet tyre.
job.
But you can
That
see
was
here
the
coming out of
fastest
the
lap
pit
of the
lane is
race
Lewis
so
Hamilton,
far.
P11, who quite interestingly, and after all those collisions, Max Verstappen is leading the race with Nico Hülkenberg in second. Verstappen's got quite a commanding lead with Kimi Räikkönen in third, but Hamilton's come into the pit lane for the intermediate tyre as well, and he's just coming out just ahead of us actually. So that tells you where he's having the kind of day he's having, as he now passes Charles Leclerc into turn 1, and as we've closed rapidly back up to Leclerc and Magnussen. So we lost all that time to him before. Now the intermediate tyre is finally starting to pay off as we have reeled them in at a rate of knots here to close in the closing stages of this Spanish Grand Prix. As we continue to purple sectors just getting quicker and quicker every lap. As we come now through turn 4, just got a lot better grip, a lot better exit. So as we come down into turn 5, Leclerc tries to go defensive. We managed to stick it down the inside though. And now moving into later in the lap into turn 9, Hamilton going around the outside of Kevin Magnussen. Just the intermediate tyre has a lot better grip here, plus the Mercedes car is a lot better than the Haas car. And
nice move,
patiently
good job.
Just have to wait through these corners. Not really any overtaking opportunities. However, we just have that much better grip that we are able to go down the inside into the chicane and take P10 of Kevin Magnussen. So we now have 1 point, and now the next frames for that. That's lovely. Don't know why that's popped up, but now you can see here on lap 30 Verstappen out of the race, and you can see here now as we pass him into the chicane, he looks like he's had some sort of
yellow flag.
Very unfortunate. He was going to win this Grand Prix. He had a commanding lead, so that means now Nico Hülkenberg has taken over the lead of this race with Räikkönen in second and Romain Grosjean in third. We're here in P9 now, so that's an extra point for us as we now start to incur some gearbox issues, as Jeff will now explain. Oh wait, no, I think, yeah, here we go. So gearbox, we just have this sinking issue. So this is not looking ideal for our points. This is,
okay, the gearbox is running a fault. Shift speeds will be reduced.
As you see here, we just run completely off the circuit in 6th gear.
Gap to car in front is 8.1 seconds.
A sinking issue. It's really delayed shifting, but we managed to get through these issues no problem, and now we're on the last lap. We almost crashed in the second last corner here, but managed to hold off the guys behind to finish in P9. So a great race here today for us, and a really good result. But Nico,
okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
Has won the Spanish Grand Prix, which is an unbelievable result for his first ever podium, not only, but also his first career win. So Nico Hülkenberg, the winner of this hectic Spanish Grand Prix. where we had all kinds of carnage happening between the leaders, and that's allowed Hulkenberg to be able to win this Grand Prix. Alonso there being able to take P5 for his home Grand Prix. Not quite the loftiest heights of Nico Hulkenberg, and you can see Raikkonen finished second. I think he didn't come in for a pit stop, so he had just front wing damage and he wasn't able to keep up with the pace of Hulkenberg. And Grosjean takes a good third place for Haas's first ever podium in Formula 1. So really quite a mixed up race, and it's going to throw a big curveball in the championship with Vettel not scoring points. He did have a 30-point lead over Raikkonen. It's now been cut by 18 points. So yeah, quite a eventful Spanish Grand Prix, I think is the right word to say. Perez is able to come home in fourth, and Hamilton on those fresh intermediate tyres was able to get past Sainz and Ocon to finish sixth. I think if we didn't have those gearbox syncing issues, we might have been able to challenge Sainz and
that was a quality drive from start to finish.
Sainz and Ocon on the last lap, but syncing issues meant we weren't able to do that. And Kevin Magnussen takes points, so we beat our teammate. We beat Lance Stroll quite easily. I think that isn't that tough a rivalry. Stroll, despite the issues with Hamilton, still manages to beat Pierre Gasly and finish 13th. So yeah. We're able to beat our teammate here, which is quite good, but now we're moving into the interview with Claire.
Great work out there today. How do you think it went?
Cutting our way through the field, so P14 to P9, so 5 spots, but a lot of that is luck, I guess, because of the incident between the top drivers, really. So quite lucky to find ourselves, but just answering based on what would best help our reputation and what department you're looking to
it's safe to say you're
influence the
smashing
most at this
everyone's
stage. And
expectations, isn't it?
I think they were quite low on their morale, so it was helpful to up that. So here we're just answering the last questions, just trying to do the sportsmanship, which is what Sauber on Alfa Romeo want. So just trying to enjoy that as much as possible.
Great.
As we now have a look at the results from this Spanish Grand Prix in terms of the rivalry. So you can see that we have now pulling a bit of a gap on our teammate Leclerc. We are quite clearly comfortably going to beat Lance Stroll because he cannot compete with us in that Williams car. So we now have a couple of invitations that we will probably not be participating in because you don't get any extra rewards for it, which is quite unfortunate. You'll be able to choose whether or not to participate before the end of this weekend. You can see here with the R&D tree, we decided to put, after all our reliability issues that we're having, to put some more resource into the reliabilities for Monaco. I know I have to take a penalty, so I decided to put it into reliability. Not going to bother with the chassis. We'll try and get those in for the next race at Canada, I'd say, and the aero and engine, because just don't see the point if we're going to be at Monaco, going to be taking a penalty and be at the back. It's really difficult to overtake at Monaco, so that's the thinking there. So just don't think we need those parts for Monaco, and hopefully we can get some reliability upgrades. As here now we can see the championship standings. Kimi Räikkönen has closed the gap to his teammate Sebastian Vettel, with Lewis Hamilton in third, Ricciardo fourth. We sit down in P14 now, up to 8 points, which is quite good. And I hope you guys though enjoyed today's episode. Please leave a like, comment your thoughts down below. Please help me with the feedback on the episode, and see you guys next time.